Hi, everyone. I'm Sandra Ingerman, and welcome to the Shamans Cave.
And I'm Renee and Baribeau, and we are really glad you're here with us today. Well, today we're going to talk about the unknown. Does that mean we don't know where we're going, or does that mean we're okay with wherever we go? What do you think, Sandra?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. There is absolutely, positively no way to know where we're going. Those of you who have been listening to the show have heard me talk about Isis saying over and over and over again that the future is created by the present. So we never know where we're going because everything changes in our present thoughts and actions. But yet, at the same time, there's an amazing amount of fear about the unknown, but the unknown is an exciting place. It's like that blank slate or that blank page that people procrastinate about and get into all kinds of fear about. But then when they actually start to engage with that white paper, it's amazing what comes out. And so when we engage with the unknown as a blank canvas, it's amazing what comes out.
Absolutely. And it's usually far better than we could have even imagined. I'm building a building, and a couple of weeks ago, I was looking at it every day thinking, it needs a window there. And yet I didn't want to bother the builders to say, I really would want a window there. And a friend comes, you need a window there. And so they're like, okay, I need a window. Within 24 hours, a window magically appeared. Now, had I thought about the window or went for that window 2 months before, whether or not that window was going to be available, I don't even think it had been taken out of the other project until the week before I needed it at my project. So sometimes we if we're not following the thread or the trail of the breadcrumbs that are being put in front of us, we miss these wonderful opportunities like a free picture window.
That's right. It's staying present. I've been finding for myself, I've taught a lot with the medicine for the earth work around manifestation, how to manifest. And it's been an interest of mine throughout my whole life. My first paper in high school was on manifestation and creation.
What the
hell? Yes, I was an very odd child. So I've been fascinated with this topic, and I have studied people like Walt Disney and these amazing creative people. I've made a study. I've studied their life, their thoughts, what they did, what they thought about, how they did it. It's just a fascination of mine. And, it really takes, you have to get into this incredible place of silence where it's like nothing exists. There's no sound, there's no trees, there's no wind outside, there's nothing. You're in an interdimensional field, and this energy comes through you, and sometimes it's spontaneous, and I go, oh my God, no, I didn't just put that out to the universe and it manifested the next day, and it's then how do I get rid of it? So it's really spending time with my intention and what is it that I'm asking for, and I've had recent conversations with friends where we went back and saw how we made mistakes by just making a little comment to the spirits or to the universe, and the universe said, make it so. And you didn't want to make that so.
Luckily, when I was learning and I was emotionally crippled, and I think this is where this cleaning and this refining of ourselves, and I find a lot of times people to be able to manifest on a dime, anyone probably could learn to do. But to make it grow corn, and as that was a term I learned in Peru, was about having it be valuable for the community. Like there's a wind story about Ilmarinen, the Finnish inventor, and he could put anything into his smithy and pull it out, whatever he wanted. He knew how to manifest. And when his beloved died, he created this puppet of her, like in gold, and he pulled it out from the smithy because he could create anything. And he found that, what's otherworldly might not be in his best interest, like what you were just talking about. Yes, we can manifest anything, but is it always in our highest and best good or for the good of the community? And I think that's more of the standard that I use now. Is it good for me? Is it good for you? And is it good for the people that I serve?
Absolutely. And my husband, he's into shamanism and he journeys and he likes to journey. But his main path when we met, he was a meditation teacher and he was a yoga teacher. He lived with Krishnamurti for years in England and he taught yoga at a center. And my husband's main practice at this particular point is the Book of Miracles. And so we have a lot of discussions about these things. And, from the Vedas and the Book of Miracles, the Course in Miracles, the Course in Miracles, of course, is everything here is an illusion, and so there is nothing to manifest because it's all illusion. But when you go back to the Vedas and you really look at the miracles, the levitation, the things that people could do with their bodies, the miraculous acts, where you go to when you follow that line, if you're really in a deep spiritual practice and you're not just superficial, getting excited about what you can do in the physical world, because that really has its limits of how far it can go and what it brings you. When you really look at what would you get from levitating versus spending a life of exploring the deepest, richest inner landscape inside of you, so that you're at 1,000% peace, and you're only emanating love and light, and you have no more hate inside of you? Which would you choose? Levitating so that your ego gets excited about what it could do, or finding true meaning and what it means, what it really means to be human on this earth?
That's such a great point. The first time I did a fire walk in the woods of Norwalk with a nun. And the very next day, I'm the practical shaman. So the very next day, I'm very fastidious and controlling. Let's just call it what it is. I'm controlling. So whenever I'd get to a catering, I'd always have everything, probably extra things, but I never was not with things. Like I always had the right amount of tongs and all the food and, never ran out or anything like that, because that's just the way I operated. But the day after this fire walk, I was like on cloud 9. And I left the roast beef sitting, it was, this was the main course, on the counter in the restaurant. And, that also happened after I jumped out of an airplane once. And I'm there like, these kind of experiences aren't for me. I want to be like grounded in the earth. And, I'm like, that was like totally embarrassing for me. I had to send somebody back to the restaurant. Luckily, it was a couple of miles away, but I don't necessarily tend to like those out-of-body experiences where I'm not fully in control.
Yeah, and I know this is a little bit off topic, but I am actually getting a lot of emails from the Shamans Cave and coming to me through my own sources of people trying to connect out-of-body experiences with shamanic journeys. And I just want to say out-of-body experiences are not shamanic journeys. In shamanic journeys, shamans actually take their bodies with them. They actually walk into another dimension. They smell the air. They pick up the dirt. They might start to build a little home for them to stay in the unseen worlds for a while. They actually do physical acts in the unseen worlds. They're completely there. Their whole body step through to another dimension. And that's the miraculous act that I'm working on endlessly at this particular moment, because the spirits keep showing me that we're stuck in a dimension and we don't realize that we can just make a step, and there's something right behind it that's very beautiful for us. So, I just think that we have to be careful about letting our egos get into the magical, because there's so much that we can do if we stay grounded, like Renee is talking about, because when we're out of body, we're just out of body, we're scattered, our cells are in chaos. And when you take your body with you into a spiritual experience, it's a grounded spiritual experience. You're making decisions because you can see your actions because you're actually there.
That's such a great point. It reminds me of doing plant medicine work, because what I really gained from that was an embodied experience, like where the hurt and trauma was living within my own, embodied system. Like I could feel it over here behind this organ or behind this organ. And, it might have been a little bit of out of body, in body, but clearly the trauma is stored in the body because we're having an embodied experience. That's right. What this human experience is all about. And I think that's the joy of it. It's like building the house and seeing the window inside and looking out from the window out to this beautiful nature. It's like, yes, I love embodied magic.
Yeah. And I did it. My mind did the most interesting thing the other day, and I actually told a helping professional about what I did, and he said, "Oh my God, that was brilliant!" Because my MO, everything that's happened to me in life, everything that I'm dealing with health-wise, emotionally, and even spiritually, is my huge sense of responsibility, over-responsibility, which I've had since I was a kid, and feeling like I have no support, which in most of my life I had no support. And a lot of my beginnings of teaching in shamanism, I had no support. And so these are issues that I carry with me, which what it makes me do is want to support and be responsible for everybody, because I didn't have it for myself. And so we were talking about it, and I said, I get so lost in the suffering of the world, what's happening to the animals, the children who are starving right now, who don't have enough food. I can just lose my mind. And then finally, what my mind did was so brilliant. I'm dealing with a very strange disorder. It's not a disease, it's a disorder. And I imagined that every single being on the planet had the same disorder as me. And there's no help for this disorder. And if you can get help, you have to find it inside of yourself. Everybody who healed from this disorder had to do it themselves. And so all of a sudden, the whole entire world, every bird, every tree, everything had the same thing that I did. And I realized I can't help me, so I can't help them. And it was really brilliant to see how important it is to push the suffering of the world away from us right now, so that we could go within and do the deep healing that we need to do. So then we can come out and be in service. But right now we're trying to be in service from too wounded of a place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were having a conversation about that the other day in my advanced level mastery class, like, the people who are actually going to teach about who we're going to be in service to and how are they showing up differently now than they showed up 10 years ago. And, is it our responsibility for a certain level of acuity when people, and we're going to talk about this more, about the amount of personal responsibility when you engage a program, and not judging it, but just like as teachers, how will that look different in 10 more years? I did a podcast the other day with Dr. Shaywitz, our medical director at our behavioral health hospital, and it was really nice to see the younger generations of psychiatrists actually. He included the ketamines, he included the psilocybin. He said there's not enough evidence on this, but we're talking about it. And so I asked him, you'll love this. I asked him if he'd be open to having a conversation about the medicine as a physiological, but how much of it is the spiritual work that we do that goes along with these medications and these solutions. Can we give the ketamine without the fire? Right. And so we're going to have that as a conversation at a behavioral health conference that I'm organizing next year. Like the shaman, the psychiatrist, and maybe the rabbi looking at that.
Well, it's so interesting that I know we're moving a little bit off topic, but it's perfect because we are talking about the unknown. Where psychotherapy is going into psychedelics.
That is unknown, right?
Actually, it's very known to me. But,
and me, because I healed that way.
Right.
They're catching up with us.
That's right. And it is unknown, but we have to understand it's actually not unknown, because where shamanism, ketamine is a chemical, LSD is a chemical, but psilocybin is a mushroom, and ayahuasca is a vine, and San Pedro is a beautiful cactus, and on and on and on. And these are plants that are healing people. And Maria Sabina was one of my heroes back in the 80s. I have her book. I have a cassette tape from when we had the old cassette tapes of chants. And everybody right now is posting about Maria Sabina on Facebook. It happened last year, and now every Facebook page has Maria Sabina again. What we have to understand is shamanism was always, for tens of thousands of years, has been healing through plant spirit medicine. And so we're just looping back. We're not, now they're looking for, well, we don't have a statistical study. Yeah, but this has been used for tens of thousands of years to heal successfully. What do you need on paper that 10,000 years doesn't tell you? I get so confused.
Exactly. Yeah, it's an interesting thing, because I was thinking as he was talking, because he was going through all the SSRIs and stuff, and I'm thinking like, oh, because they wanted me on the lithium, and I was like, no, we're not doing that. And so, like, what about us as the case studies? What about the people who for 30 years took a different path, who aren't needing those kinds of medications or having those bouts of depression or anxiety? I mean, aren't we, maybe we need to do a study a different way. That's an unknown thing too, like to do it in reverse.
Yeah, I think I've been clear on our show with you, Renee, and with the public and all my books and everything, that most of my life, most of my teenage life and adult life, has been focused on suicide. And I made a really clear decision not to go for therapy because even though I was young, I knew it was a spiritual issue. I knew it was a spiritual issue. And although I took a harder path because my depression and my suicidal tendencies didn't go away for 20 years or so, and with a magic pill might have, it 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 is what brought me on my path. I knew exactly what I needed. I needed to be on a spiritual path. I knew I had a spiritual illness. I knew it, even as a kid, that it was a spiritual illness. And I was just so desperate reading every, the mustard seed in the 70s while I lived in the Haight-Ashbury. I was just looking for spiritual information, spiritual insights, spiritual ideas to help me move forward. But it was shamanism. It was my power animal taking me every step, next step, next step, next step, until I walked out of my suicidal depression.
Yeah, talk about the unknown. We should do a show on spiritual illnesses. I don't think we've ever covered that particular topic, and it seems to be up for a lot of people at the moment.
Yeah, definitely, because I'm going to be talking about that on some summits coming up, because with the COVID, when the COVID came in, all of a sudden, because people couldn't meet personally, workshops and work went to giving people more shamanic tools, which was perfect because people have been coming into shamanic healing workshops very unprepared. So this has been a great year to give people a really good foundation of what shamanism is before we start teaching that. And in the summits that are coming up, I'll be talking about it's time for all of us who have been teaching these other skills to get out there and start teaching classic shamanic healing again.
Awesome. Well, I guess we've been all over the board in places today, so that's okay. We like that. And we are going to start next week a series on the elements, which we did in year one, but we haven't touched it again. And I'm sure that we're both different than we were in year one, speaking of unknown. And we've been through a whole new, gap in the world. So stay with us for that. And then you can follow us over at shamanstv.com or join us over at our Facebook page. And, we always love topics. So if you have some topics, please send them over as well. And Sandra, do you have something to say or finish up with?
Oh, I just wanted to say that we're getting such beautiful feedback from people, and thank you for subscribing to our show. Renee and I really love doing this together. It's not work. I'm taking a sabbatical for a few months, but I'm not taking a sabbatical from the show because it's not work for me. We're having fun together. Renee and I are having fun together. And I hope that you get an occasional laugh from us too. And hopefully you get some insight from us also. So blessings, everyone. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, everyone.